Hello and welcome to the fifth artist talk in the series of Deutsche Bank Collection Live, Meet the Artist. Today our guest is Adrian Paci. Hi Adrian.
Hi.
I am Britta Färber, Chief Curator of the Deutsche Bank Art Program, including the Deutsche Bank Collection, which is today one of the most important collections of international contemporary art on paper and photography. Let me first quickly draw your attention to some organizational points. As you may have noticed, the audience is muted. You will have time afterwards to pose questions with the chat or Q&A function. We will discuss them at the end of the interview, and of course, we hope that you have many questions. Should you have technical problems, please let us know via chat. And last but not least, the talk is also being streamed via Facebook and YouTube, where you can follow it now or watch it later. Good. Today, it's my great honor to introduce you all to Adrian Paci. He was born in Škoda, Albania. Adrian, do I pronounce it correct? Škoda?
Yes, but my surname is actually Paci.
Paci. Oh, I'm sorry. So Adrian Paci, not Italian pronunciation, but Albanian. I'm sorry. He was born in Škoda, Albania in 1969 and is now living and working between Milan and his home city. Adrian Paci is well known for addressing radical political shifts of his homeland and his experience as an artist in exile. His photographic works, videos and paintings seem inseparable from his identity as a migrant. He examines topics such as home and individual and collective memory, among many others, of course. Paci, I have to get used to it. Paci represented his home country, Albania, at the Venice Biennial in 1999. After many international solo shows and projects, he returned in 2019 with a big solo show at the National Gallery of Arts in Tirana. Also jointly with his wife, since 2015, he has built up an art center, the Art House in Škoda. We acquired first work for the Deutsche Bank Collection back in 2009, and today he is one of our so-called floor artists in the Frankfurt Towers, which means that we dedicated a whole floor to his work. And here in Frankfurt, and yeah, you have to come to visit us. This is what we just discussed, and I was mistaken. I thought we even met, but we didn't, so you come when you can.
Okay, I will.
Always welcome. Today we are coming together on the occasion of the exhibition Time Present that is currently on display in our Palais Populaire in Berlin, and it's showing international photography from the collection and also including works by Adrian Paci. In addition, this talk is also part of the program of the European Months of Photography, Germany's largest photo festival located in Berlin. And yeah, that's it. So let me again welcome Adrian Paci. Thanks to you. Thank you and grazie mille that you could make it this evening before the big premiere in Rome tomorrow, where you will launch your latest video work at the Maxi. May I start with a personal question? Where in the world are you right now? Okay, yeah, Italy, I guess, but how have the current circumstances relating to the pandemic affected your life in general, as well as your artistic practice?
Yes, well, I was in Albania when all it started. We were in Albania in February. And then, so we heard about the first news about the pandemic situation starting also in close to Milano, in the Lombardy region. And and then day by day, the situation started becoming more difficult. And then we found ourselves closed at home and without the possibility to get out and to meet other people. So it was quite scary and frustrating at the same time, also because it was not like a relaxing moment. It was a moment of that you stayed at home, but at the same time, you were surrounded by pain around you. So all these cars going to the hospital, they're all around. So somehow the situation was quite tough in Milano, and then until we stayed here actually until May, from beginning of March, and so yeah, I mean it was like that.
Yeah. You told me before, and maybe we can jump to this. I originally thought we would discuss it at the very end, but you told me before that you were commissioned for special work during this time, which I found very interesting because it's a completely new approach to your work, and it is related to this situation. And maybe we could show these works. Guido Rosso. It's about the work of Guido Rosso. We will show it in a second.
Okay, no, but I can start talking. I mean, in this situation where all we were at home and we were somehow not able to do anything, just to read books and watch movies in the television. Somehow I got this phone call from the Fondazione Bulgari in Rome. They have a foundation that deals with art and film. And so it was this request to start a new project that was connected with the domestic violence. A video commission. It was a video commission, but also somehow it was meant to deal also with this situation of restriction that we were all going through. Okay, so they are all framed in the video. So I started talking to Alessandro Rabottini, the director and the curator of this project, and we start talking also about this fact that somehow also the language of video was somehow living in this state of restriction, because I mean at home you couldn't work with the camera, you couldn't work with the team, you couldn't move around. So all actually I had was my mobile phone. So I start like playing with it. I said to Alessandro, I'm not able to say now that I will do it, but I will try. And I thought I can start like playing with my phone at home. Mm-hmm. And then in one moment, filming something in a sunny day in my balcony, I saw some kind of red color entering in the screen, and actually it was just the finger of mine entering in the camera and producing this beautiful red color. But at the same time it was a strong and quite bright red color, but it was not flat. It was like moving all the time because of this kind of flash aspect of the body of the finger. So then of course my mind came the film Blue of Derek Jarman. And but then instead of the flat blue screen, I had this red screen that was quite vivid and quite somehow physical, even if it was so abstract at the same time. So then I thought to work with the story behind, and then I start contacting people to send me stories of domestic violence. And then, of course, it came the question of, somebody had to write and somebody had to read these stories. And then I met this wonderful writer and actress in Rome, Daria De Florian. So we didn't meet personally, but we start talking to each other and calling each other. And I saw some beautiful pieces she had done in theater. And so, she was involved in writing this text and then also in interpreting it, but interpreting it in a very subtle way. So you never can really tell if she's an actress or she is telling a real story, because also in her practice as an actress, she works with this borderline situation between reality and fiction. And in that point, somehow we found each other very, very much close to each other in our own practice. So this very simple video came out of this red screen that is moving all the time. It's like breathing all the time. And then you listen this story and this voice, this beautiful voice, which is quite strong and quite touching at the same time. But at the same time, it's also something that involves each of us. So it's not the story of the others. It's not the story of somebody else somehow. It could be our own stories. So the good thing with the text that Daria wrote and the way she interpreted it is the fact that when you are part of when you are experiencing the work, you don't feel that it's the story of somebody else. I mean, somehow you feel this kind of empathy with the story. And time to time, there are 3 moments that in the screen, there appear 3 eyes from some shootings that I had done in Syria. And I was, not in Syria actually, in Lebanon, and I was filming some Syrian refugees. And I wanted to introduce this very close-up eye as a kind of interruption of the story. So there are just 3 moments in the beginning, in the middle, at the end of the film that you see these big eyes, like as a close-up. It's like actually 1 eye.
Yeah, and when you told me before, I was what I found very interesting is the connection to the body. You know, with this, you just see this plain red, but there is a very strong connection to the body itself and to the hands, which actually are the part of the body related to domestic abuse or whatever. You know, you do everything, or you start with your hands, and this is such a strong link, I believe.
Yeah, somehow it was also for me like impossible to build an image, like a fictional image on such a painful and strong topic. But at the same time, I thought that like canceling the image through the presence of the body, through this kind of closeness of the body, so the body comes so close to the camera, then it covers everything, and it cancels everything, but still you don't have just the color, you have still the presence of the body, you know, behind it.
Yeah.
So
and it's also an experience everybody has made, I guess. Yeah, you know, it's something very everyday experience, and then you kind of
that for me is very important also in my general practice, let's say, you know, that when I start a work, for me is very important that you have the feeling that what you see is not something totally strange to you, to the experience that you have done, you know. So you should have the feeling that it's something familiar to you, but at the same time, it brings you somewhere else.
Right, yeah. Okay, so we go back to the works we show in the exhibition here. I would like to show them the Back Home series, the first ones. And coming to the topic of migration, which is such an important theme that runs throughout your work and of course goes together with the term home. And right now here in Europe, migration is a very crucial topic. You as a migrant, you have a personal deep involvement, and the term home has also gained a new kind of importance this year, as so many people are stuck at home in one or the other way, you know. And so there are manifold aspects to this topic. And but before we go to the work, I would like to be a bit more general on this, and would like to quote something Die Zeit, a major German weekly, asked a question in a study last year. What do Germans understand by home, homeland? And we actually have the beautiful word Heimat for it, which is kind of has an emotional, very emotional touch. And 88% answered of the people who were asked answered where I feel safe. And do you agree with this definition of home? And where and what is home for you? What does home mean for you?
Well, actually, I have some problems with the definitions in general. You know, in the moment that you define something, then it seems that you exclude the other possibilities to that thing. And in the case of the home question, somehow that you asked me, I could say that I start thinking about home when I was missing home. So somehow home was something that for me, something that you miss, not something that you have. You know? And of course, you miss also this sense of security. You miss this sense of, you know, feeling safe, you know. But then you question, then the problem of the home somehow comes out.
Yes.
And also these series of photographs here has to do with that. Has to do, so we see 4 families in front of 4 backdrops, and we see this the presence of home there, but the home actually is missing, you know. So the work is bringing back something that they are missing, and it's bringing back the fact that, you know, the absence of home that is substituted by the image of home. And just because of the absence, but just because of this void, somehow the action of the artist starts, you know, because you feel that there is a space for you to do your gesture, to act, and then you activate the gesture just because you see this missing element. So in that case, you know, the work it has this kind of photographic shape at the end, but it's more like a mix, because it starts with a phone call I did to these friends of mine, that I asked them if they could give me the permission to go in their homes. I mean, this is my family, so it was also my home involved. But also I went in their places and took photographs, and then came back to Milano with these photographs, and then painted these backdrops, these large backdrops. Of course, with the memory of the photographic studios where you always you have this kind of painted backdrop, but normally you have these columns, you have these arches, you have these landscapes, kind of generic image. But instead of this generic image, I wanted to bring this specific image of their home. And then I called them and invited them in my studio to take a picture in front of this painting. So it became like a kind of performative ritual somehow, you know. So they came all kind of dressed, you know, to in a way to have this picture with, you know, I mean, in this case it was this family with the grandmother, the 2 kids, and the couple, or my friend like by himself. So somehow it was this kind of let's say performative aspect that came together with the photographic work, and also the presence of the painting, you know, because I studied painting. I am trained as a painter, but in this case the painting was like not a language that you use to build an object to be contemplated, but it was more like
part of something.
It was like building a house, you know. It was in that sense. I was like the builder who was, through the painting, building this image that was somehow missing.
Did you? I mean, it's so interesting how these. Can we go back to those slides? Sorry, it's so interesting how these families are positioned and how they are staged. Did you do this, or did they do it by themselves?
We were. That's why I'm saying that it was like it has this kind of performative aspect, because I was doing my part, they were doing their part, so somehow we were all like participating somehow in building. So it was clearly a set somehow. So in that sense, it was a bit theatrical, you know. But like all these photographs in the studios, they are like a bit theatrical.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, it was also emotional, and so they were somehow also relating with the image of the house that was there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Very interesting. I think now I would like to go to the Centro di Permanenza Temporania. It's really it's a work you were making back in 2007, already before the last big wave of migration hit Europe in 2015, and I mean it's an ongoing process, of course. But you created this really iconic piece already 2007, and people being stuck, we will see it in a moment, people being stuck in a situation or even moving towards an uncertain future. And also the title is quite a paradox, Permanenza Temporania, Could you please give us a bit of background on this piece? Would be great.
Yeah, I mean, this was done in the airport of San Jose. I was invited in San Francisco for a residency, and the people who organized the residency, actually it was in Montalvo, close to San Francisco. People who organized this residency asked me if I have a project, I mean, for making new work there, and I said no, I don't have a project, but I will come and we'll see. So I left Milano, and actually I changed the flight in Frankfurt. And there in the airport, I saw these stairs, these empty stairs that were waiting. And in a moment, I imagined them crowded with people. So flying from Frankfurt to San Francisco, I was like drawing the storyboard of the video. And when I arrived there, I told to the director of the residency, you know, now I have a project. I have an idea, but I need an airport. And well, it was quite difficult, you know, quite tough in 2007 to find an airport in the United States to bring, you know, a group of immigrants and to stage this video. But somehow it was the case that the chairman of the private jet area of the airport of San Jose was also part of the board of the residency in Montalvo. So somehow we organized this meeting with the people of the airport, and we got the permission. Of course, it's a video that was fed by the imaginary of the migration, but at the same time, it is a piece that talks about the state of being, you know, in between. So this moving towards something without reaching somewhere. And this sense of in-betweenness, the sense of being thrown somehow in this state of being, it's what makes this piece something that, I mean, maybe goes beyond just the immigration. Even the immigration is its starting point, of course.
It's really, it's like a big metaphor, big symbol for all of this, you know. It's really iconic. We had it in the exhibition at the Freeze viewing room right now last week. It was shown, and so far as I know, it was the work with the most clicks, so to say, you know. People are really drawn to it in a way, and because it has this relevance, and yeah, it's such a clear and iconic image, I would say. We can see the next one, the line, which is also from this video work, and
yeah, I mean, it's part of that project, of course. But I took some different photographs in that moment, and then somehow the image always surprises you with something that you do not predict. You don't. So this was not a stage for the photograph. I mean, we were like, I mean, these people were waiting there to start, then walking toward the stairs. But then when I saw these two photographs, you know, yeah, I mean, I like the image also for this kind of sense of awakeness, you know. So they are like awaiting there, you know, without going anywhere. But of course, the place that you see reminds you to the idea of the movement, you know, because it's an airport. But then the fact that, you know, instead of the planes, we see people just standing there, and also somehow creates this strange feeling. So.
Yeah. On a road to nowhere, you know, or you don't know what's going on, and looks like movement, but it's it isn't.
Yeah, the fact that it's a diptych also emphasizes a bit this idea of the movement, you know. So it's like something is moving there, so it's not just one image, but at the same time, the fact that they are not moving, they are just standing, you know.
Mm-hmm. So we jump to the encounter. Time is running fast. And I would like to show it as well, because it's also, you are so interested in rituals and in kind of performances, rituals. And this one is, it's about the handshake and this kind of movement of also a line of people in a way. And it's also interesting because it is about the handshake, which is this year, I mean, governments all over kind of in the kind of due to or for the sake of social distancing, handshakes are not allowed, kisses are not allowed. And it's apparently difficult to do without. So what is it that fascinates you about these rituals? And have you been able to refrain from shaking people's hands?
Yeah, somehow we have to now.
Yeah.
It's really also strange, you know, the way we deal now with when we say hello to our friends, you know, all these insecure gestures. You don't know. I mean, you make some strange gesture to approach somebody, but you don't dare to shake hands. Mm. Well, I mean, I am interested in general about rituals. I like very much the fact that somehow these existential elements of our life build around a kind of theater, you know. So we build these kind of fictional moments, but that they are very much connected with our existential needs, or like basic or fundamental, like the wedding or the funeral, you know, or like important moments of our life. So we build around these moments a kind of little theater, and create this fictional moment. So this is something that interests me more in general. But in this case, I was also interested in the gesture of shaking hands, you know, handshaking, because it's such a simple gesture. It's something that we use in our everyday life, but at the same time, we use it, as we said, in rituals, and among rituals, we use it in weddings, but also funerals. We use it in different ceremonies, when we make peace or when we make an agreement. At the same time, it's a very old, very ancient gesture. So somehow I wanted to, instead of just using the gesture in a ritual, I wanted to build a ritual for the gesture. So where the one to be celebrated was the gesture itself. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was imagining this performative moment where hundreds of people could come toward me and shake hands with me, just as a moment of celebrating the gesture itself of shaking hands. And then I was imagining to do this in a small town in Italy, where also the public space is a space that is lived in a certain way by the people. And then in the beginning, there is this empty chair in the square. And I like very much when I go to the south of Italy and I see people taking chairs from inside of the house and bring it outside and talk to each other. So it's a kind of appropriation of the public space through these elements of private life or private domestic environment. So yeah, I mean, this piece came out like this, you know, as a desire to build a big ritual around the gesture. So, and I was not the one to be celebrated, I was the celebrator together with each of the participants. So in this meeting, in this encounter, when we shake hand to each other, the gesture is coming out somehow. So the gesture is born somehow. So everyone is at the same time participating, you know, it's activating the gesture. And I was like the threshold, you know, where they pass through, and in that moment the gesture is activated.
Right. And what I see now for the first time are the columns, and which gives me a great a great way to jump to the column. And one of your most elaborate projects, which I think it's one of my favorite projects of yours, and we are really proud to have 3 stills of it in the collection. But it's much more, and it's a video work and installation, and I've actually experienced it as an installation when I nearly fell over this big column in Paris in front of the Jeu de Paume, and was really surprised because I didn't expect it. And yeah, maybe you could expand a bit on this project. I'm just showing like 3 stills out of it, but it's a very complex and interesting project which connects so many layers, and maybe you can talk a bit about it.
Yeah, also like many works of mine, also this work came out of a story of an encounter with a friend of mine who was telling me he's a restorer, and he was telling me that somebody commissioned him a sculpture, a marble sculpture for a castle that he was restoring, because the sculpture was there before, but the castle was somehow was sold, and also the sculpture was sold, and then the new owner wanted the sculpture back. And then he told me, like talking like this, that he was going, because he's a restorer, and he was looking around to find a sculptor to make this sculpture. And somebody told him that he could do it in China because they have a very good marble, they have good craftsmen, good masters of carving the stone, but they can also be quick because they can carve the sculpture during the trip. And when I heard this story, I mean,
yeah, crazy.
Something like quite wrong, but at the same time quite fabulous. You know, I immediately start imagining this marble sculpture produced in the ocean by the work of a group of Chinese workers, but also this model coming from the West, this Western sculpture. And then I start making some research to see if this is true and this can be done. And to be honest, I didn't find out that there are, these factory boats that produce sculpture, marble sculpture, but I found out that they do exist. Factory boats that they produce, like for example, cloths or other stuff. So they transform the product during the trip. And of course, the logic was the logic of the profit to create this coincidence between the transport and the production, so to save time. But at the same time, to me, this idea of the marble being elaborated in the boat in the middle of the ocean, somehow during this trip, and the idea of these three elements, like the stone, the ferry boat, and the water of the ocean, but also the geographic movement, let's say, from the east to the west, which was also connected with the time. Because it's an object coming from ancient times and being reactivated during our time. So, but these were not like my ideas. They were like suggestions that somehow were coming to my mind, exploring this image, exploring these stories somehow. So then when I had the invitation from Jeu de Paume in Paris, where you have seen the column, to make a show, and they asked me if I have a new project, I said, well, I have this idea. And in the beginning, it sounded very strange and impossible, quite crazy to make it happen. But somehow we found a way, and we put together different museums and different supporters. And then I found out this company in China, and we found the boat, and so everything started. So it was like listening a story, having an idea, then wanted to test this idea, to make to see if what happens if I make it happen really, So the whole process started, and then during the trip, of course, we had. Everything was happening in front of us, so it was not staged. It was like we were just 3 people filming, and 6 people carving the marble, and the people of the boat.
How long was this trip? Sorry, how long did it was the trip?
28 days.
How many? I did get it.
8 to 8.
Oh, okay. 2 8. Okay. 28.
So it was quite an adventure.
Yes,
but
of course.
I didn't want to make a documentary about this trip. I wanted to respond at the same time to the first suggestion I had. When I was imagining this column produced in the middle of the ocean, and of course, so the reality was giving me new inputs, but at the same time, I had in my mind all the time this vision. That was like the starting point of the work. So then editing the video was like like carving another sculpture, because it was, you had to carve the time, as Tarkovsky says, so it's like dealing then with giving shape to all the footage we had, and to tell the story in 24 minutes. So this is the duration of the video. Mm-hmm. But then, of course, then the column arrives as an object, arrived in Paris, so it was showed there. But in the video, I never show the arrival.
Mm-hmm.
I always leave the column in the state of becoming somehow, going somewhere, of transformation. So I like this idea. Then the column never is erected; it always is lying down. So it's like a sleeping column, and so it's kind of ready for another trip, for another movement.
Wow! Yeah, it's a wonderful, and it is not a documentary at all. No, it's a wonder. I mean, it is documenting in a way, but it has a completely different quality because it's so poetic and so touching, really, very, very emotional in a way, with these beautiful images. And also, I just saw a short sequence of it today, when you have these moments where the workers are sitting listening to their music, and it's also it's very human in a way, and at the same time like a big metaphor for globalization, in so many senses, and just in time in a completely new sense, so yeah.
What I wanted, of course, it's a kind of symbolic piece also, and the column is a symbolic element, but I wanted to keep the work a bit out of this, to this absolute sense of symbolism, and I wanted to create this sense of closeness with the process, but also with the people, of course, being involved there.
Great. Congratulations on this piece.
And also the column becomes like a body somehow. This piece of stone that it's broken, because most of the time during the video we see this piece of big stone being cut and being broken, in pieces. Only at the end we discover then there is a column being, carved there.
Great. Thank you. I'm just now looking to the watch. I think we have talked quite a bit. Maybe there are some questions. Anybody? There's something on the chat. Yes, I see questions. One question by Oliver Mewes. Who or what influenced you the most?
Well, I had different, I have been dealing with art since I was a baby, let's say. My father was a painter, and he passed away when I was very, very young, very little. Only 6 years old. So that was my very first influence. And then, of course, I was, in Albania, I was watching a lot his books, his art books, which I couldn't read because they were all in Russian. And I could only see images. Mm-hmm. And of course, I remember that I was in love with the old masters of art, like, Leonardo, Tiziano, Rembrandt, and all these things. And then we had, when going to the high school in Albania and in the art academy in Albania, we had to study quite a lot classical art. And so that was the moment that, you have this influence from the masters, but at the same time we wanted to do something different. And in Albania that was quite difficult because because of the communist regime, all the experience of the 20th century in the Western world was forbidden. So even Chagall and Picasso and Van Gogh were forbidden. So somehow we were trying to see these masters, let's say, in a hidden way. And then when I arrived in Italy, of course, I was in contact with contemporary art, and they were like some artists that I was looking with, I was admiring, but they are quite a lot somehow. But I could say that somehow the very introduction into the contemporary practice, let's say, came out with this very simple video I did in '97 with my daughter, telling some stories where she was like playing with her her toys and telling stories to her toys. But in these stories, she was putting together her memory from this traumatic moment in Albania in '97, where all the state collapsed, and the international forces came to keep the order. So somehow I could say that my daughter also has an important influence.
Very good. How old is she now? She's still influencing, or an influencer herself?
Yeah, now we try to influence each other, but
very good.
to take each his and her way.
Okay. I have a second question for you, from an anonymous participant. Social and political topics often play an important part within your work. How do you see or define the role of an artist?
Well, I mean, in the moment that you think that you have a role, well, let's say I was educated with the idea that artist has a role in the society. So artist has an important role in society. But at the same time, this role was given to you by the regime, by by a power above you. So you were like, you were given this power, and you should use it to educate somehow people. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, when I was like around 20, 25, I wanted to escape from this, having this role, having this. But at the same time, the everything around myself, but not only in private sense of of my life, but also in the social sense, like my country was totally transformed. I mean, then going to Italy, I moved to another situation, and then I was considered like an immigrant, as you said. So somehow you escape from one category and you enter in another category, and you have to deal with that all the time. And then you see that you cannot avoid talking about topics that are important for you. Mm-hmm. But the position that from which I talk is not the position of somebody who knows and wants to tell the others what they should think or what they should feel, but it's of somebody who is like reflecting about this question and is sharing then this reflection with the others. Mm-hmm. So I mean, more than the topic of my work, let's say immigration is my experience, and I take elements from my experience because I think it's all what I have. And then I deal with this experience. I deal also with images coming from this experience. Somehow the experience is like donating you images, mm-hmm. and is donating you stories, and then you deal with these stories. But you deal as somebody who is trying to understand, not as somebody who wants to tell the others what they should think. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, the social and political topic remains something important for me, but my approach is always kind of personal. Mm-hmm. I don't want to take a position that is like given by somebody else, but it's my personal approach, but at the same time is trying to deal with these elements and also to try to see them from a wider perspective.
Okay, thank you. Wow. Maybe we don't have any questions from the audience anymore, but then one last curious question. What are you up to now? So tomorrow is something new project in Rome, and afterwards, what are your plans, your projects for the future, nearer future?
Well, to talk about project in this period is pretty tough because you cannot really plan a lot. Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to Rome at Maxi because it's the preview of this video of Edo Rosso, which will be together with other 7 other videos that were commissioned by Fondazione Bulgari. And then the day after will be in Milano at Triennale. It's a beautiful show of Enzo Mari, a great artist and designer, Italian designer, who will show, it's a larger retrospective created by Obrist, and he invited also some contemporary artists to make a homage to Enzo Mari. But in the last years, as you mentioned before, I have been, me and my wife, and not only us, but also a group of friends, we have been involved in this new adventure, let's say, transforming our house in Albania in a small art center. And so quite, I mean, a lot of our efforts in this period are going in that direction. So activating that space as a space for meetings, as a space for discussions, for workshops, for presentations. During the pandemic situation, we had to cancel many events, but we started this adventure of publication, and we start all translating some short text. And in September, we came out with a series of small publications. So, and actually we are having this Saturday, we are having an event showing a small selection from video art midnight in Berlin. We'll show them in Škodra. So yeah, this is what we are also doing.
I wanted to show one image of your house as well, of this house, and it will come, and then I see at the same time there should be another question. Ooh, we should, but then it's done. Okay. So this is your house, and we have had also another, you are holding a lot of events. Oh, she's saying, yeah, Victoria Garre, another question. Thank you for the fascinating talk. In the beginning, you mentioned that you like to create works which speak to us all, with which we feel connected in a way. So finding a common ground with the public is important to you. Could you tell us more about this relationship with the public?
Yeah. Yes, of course. I think this is very important, but also in that case, I think the very first public of the work, it's you as an artist. But I mean, because somehow also you are the public, not only when you make the work, but you are the public of something. You are contemplating the work even before it is done, you know. So I was telling before about the story of the column, for example. I mean, I heard this story and I was imagining all the time this sculpture carved in the middle of the ocean. So somehow in that moment I was the public of my own idea, let's say.
Okay.
So, and then when you start making the work, so somehow the public it's inside yourself. So you never have to think about the public as somebody else, that you are offering something to the other. I mean, it's always this kind of feeling, I mean, the public as part of yourself. And when you see the public, it's not just the viewer that is somehow next to you, but somehow part of this idea of the public. It comes together also with I mean, it involves also time, you know. So somehow maybe it's the public of the past, but maybe also the public of the future. So I think, you know, what, you know, somebody from the 15th century could say in front of my work, or somebody from the 25th century can say in front of my work. So it's, I mean, the public is never just a bunch of people that, you know, are there in the opening of the exhibition. It's always something wider, but at the same time very personal, because it starts from yourself, because somehow also inside of yourself there is something coming from the past and maybe something that belongs to the future.
Wow. This is a good ending, I would say. Coming back to your person as an artist, and yeah, wonderful. I think I learned a lot, and I hope it was okay for you, and grazie mille, and all the best for tomorrow. Thanks also for the questions from the audience, and that you,
Thank you, and hope to see you in Albania or in Frankfurt.
Yes, we will manage, and I shall manage to get to Albania. I promise. As said, I tried it twice, so now I will succeed.
Time will happen.
Okay, all the best for you. Stay safe. Bye. Thank you. Bye. Bye.